Welcome everyone to another post-game episode of Sky U Pod, where we're covering the Gophers finally beating the big man out of Brett Bielema in Illinois, fighting at Illini 25-17 on the road. Max Kurt, what a game! Particularly, the Gophers finally found the ground game. Uh, let's hear your initial thoughts, Kurt. What do you got?
The curse is broken. It was arguably the best year to beat Brett Bielema, eliminate Illinois of any playoff conversation. I know it was a long shot to begin with, but yeah, to get a win like that over him, and it was just a good game, right? It was down to the wire. I was a little nervous with how many points I felt like the offense probably left out on the field, and I thought the defense played really well overall. I mean, a couple missed tackles, right, on that long touchdown run by McCray, but overall, really solid game. And when the offense needed to get it done the most, they did. And Dragon Kasich, man, he's back. He's back to being Big Ten Kicker of the Year form. So um, good vibes all around, and Gophers are still trending in the right direction.
Yeah, you said it. I mean, being able to win like that and not have your best game is huge, and it's something that we haven't been able to do in the past. But yeah, being able to do it on the road against a solid Illinois team and a well-coached team with Brett Bielema, who we've now finally beaten, like you said, yeah, just feels good. It was an exciting game overall too. It was fun to watch.
You know, I guess we could just break this down from start to finish here. Um, you know, I guess initially to start off the game in that first quarter, um, you know, Brosmer had what we kicked it off first, right?
Yeah, they hit that one quick pass play for about 20 yards on the first play of the game, and I'm like, oh boy. But
Right.
then I think they after that we forced a punt 3 plays later. So
That's right. So, yeah, the start of the game, I was a little nervous because defensively it looked like we were gonna possibly have a repeat of the past 10 matchups with Brett Bielema.
yeah,
But yeah, you're right. Ended up in a punt. You know, they had that nice pass, like you said, Kurt, and then it was essentially a three and out from there. I guess four and out. But um, after of which, the Gophers go on the offense. Unfortunately on that play, Coy Parrott, he kind of misread the punt. Illini did get a really nice bounce that kind of bounced right to inside the five. I think we downed it at the it was down at the 2 yard
yeah,
line. Um, yeah, I guess you should scoop that up and just fall on it, but they did get kind of lucky with the roll that it had. So I don't entirely blame it on Coy, I guess, but yeah, you gotta fall on that ball to stop it. That's just kind of a freshman mistake that
yeah,
we haven't
and it
really
was
seen him do much.
right, and it really was his first one, like you said.
Right.
So I give him some slack just because he's been so much better than anything overall that we've had back there. I will say too, like that Illinois punter. I I thought Ryan Burns or somebody I thought posted that like Illinois had like really high graded out PFF special teams play on this year, and so I think they were probably expecting him to get off better kicks, and I didn't think he punted well all game. He did not
No.
kick the ball very far at all. I thought he really failed to flip field positions a few times for them, which was a nice break to have. Feels like we're always getting pinned deep. Obviously his first punt worked out well, but other than that, I just think I think maybe Coy was expecting him to be able to boot the ball a little further with how where the coaches
Yeah.
were having him line up and whatnot. But yeah, freshman mistake. They adjusted to it, I think, and were able to get going. Nice thing was that even though that offense didn't score, you know, didn't go 98 yards, they still at least picked up, I think, one first down, maybe two, but they were able to not just go three and out and give the ball right back. But,
Right.
um, you know, we returned a not great punt after that either. I
Hmm.
think it was like 40 some yards, so it was okay, but
Yeah.
not a boomer where you're hoping to flip it. But I said it. My wife can attest to it. I said we need a turnover here, and sure enough, the Mav and Wally basically flip Altmaier, and he kind of is upside down in the air and his arm kind of bends out and the ball falls out. And
Yep,
I think Wally might have had six if
for
Mav didn't
sure.
fall on it there when he
Yeah,
when he saw it. But yeah, it's just one of those things where if one guy sees the open field in front and wants to pick it up and go, and Mav, who kind of finished the tackle, is just on the ground and just sees ball and jumps on it. But that was a great play, and because it really just, I mean, gave the Gophers great field position.
right.
Yeah, you'd really like to get six there, obviously, though, too. Getting like starting on Illinois' side of the
Yeah,
field, like having all that
Yeah,
momentum early in the game, but that's something that we expected, right? Like Illinois' defense is solid, and they're you're gonna have to punch it in. Like they're not gonna give up a
yeah,
big play. It doesn't really matter where you start from. But even that drive, though, too, like we still picked up. I think we had like a long third down at one point. I think we had a
yeah, we
couple
picked
third
up a
downs
couple
we
for
picked up,
thirds.
so
yep.
Yeah,
it worked out. But
the one that
Yeah,
hurt on that drive was the miss to Daniel Jackson because he had him beat,
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah, I'm just gonna say, like, overall, I don't want to rip on him too much because, like I said, he came through in the clutch. But like, Rosemary had a pretty rough first three quarters, at least first half. He just wasn't on. It wasn't like terrible, but I mean, I even thought like he had some of his throws that were kind of in harm's way a few times too, where it's like, oh man, we don't
yeah,
really see that out of him too often. But like some people point out, like the receivers didn't have a ton of separation, but I mean, Illinois is a pretty solid secondary themselves, so. Um, a little better ball placement probably would have helped them out. But the offensive line, man, they came through today. I
yeah,
thought they played pretty well overall. I know they gave up a few pressures, but being able to run the ball, I know Illinois. We mentioned it. Illinois was only 90th in the country in run defense, but I mean Darius Taylor took full advantage of that. I don't think
right.
the Gophers win this game without Darius Taylor.
No, certainly not. And I think you said it, I missed this last preview earlier this week, but I think it was you, Kurt, who said, getting Darius involved even in the passing game, it's like he's almost just as important in those short passes where Rosemer does a really nice job checking down, gets it to him, few yard gain there every time. It seems like he's just very versatile. Obviously, this game, star of the game for me for sure. Both running and catching the ball. Can't say enough about him. He just had a tremendous game.
Yeah. Well, and it was interesting too. Like they didn't just line him up out wide and then call him back in right away. I mean, they did that sometimes, but like he caught like a few like outs and like hitch type routes as like a wide
Mm,
receiver. So that's just kind of another aspect of him that teams have to worry about now going forward.
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Like Jackson and Spencer both had fine games. Like I think Jackson had 5 catches for 74. Spencer had 6 for 67. Darius Taylor had 9 catches. Like he was our leading receiver too, which is great to get your guy. Get the ball in the hot hand. But yeah, no, he had a really good game. He looked his best, I thought.
Yeah, and you brought up Spencer, so I just want to say like Elijah Spencer, I felt like made every catch that wasn't Darius Taylor's in the first half. Like he was coming up, converting those third downs, moving the chains. So I thought Elijah Spencer had a really nice game. Um, I think it was Elijah and Lemecki that did miss. We ran that screen early on where Darius
Yeah,
just ended up
oh
getting
yeah,
blown up,
just
and
got
they both just had to get the one guy out there, and he made a nice play. And Darius was down for a little bit, but he was back, and I'm sure he got a little banged up throughout that game as he went down. But um, good to see him finish it though.
yeah. Well, when we kind of get to the end of the first quarter, Illinois did drive a little bit. We did stop them in the red zone just to stop them for three, which was good. And then that ensuing drive, another touchdown for the Gophers, fellas. Darius Taylor runs in for that 29-yard touchdown. Um, Great drive. Here's the thing, though, fellas, that was in this drive was the same as the drive before where we had to settle for three. The false starts on the offensive line. Um, Granted, false start, put us at 1st and 15. The next play, Darius Taylor runs in for the touchdown. Doesn't really matter, but I'm going to critique anything about this offensive line, just the false starts, the penalties. That was just can't have those, especially when you're kind of trying to make a drive to finish the plays and everything. Got to
Yeah.
clean that up. I'm sure that they will. I know that, you know, we had new tackle out there replacing.
They
I don't
played
know if
well
he was,
too.
and he did really well. I don't think he was penalized, but I don't know, maybe some miscommunication. You're on the road, it's loud. Uh, who knows? But just something to clean up a little bit.
For sure.
Um, and yeah, not much to say about that. But after that nice touchdown from Darius, Illinois comes back with a touchdown of their own, that 42-yard run touchdown.
Yeah.
Coy again seemed to miss his lane and just missed the tackle there again.
Yeah.
Gets a hand on him and just gets his feet out from
Two.
under Coy, and
Yeah. And there was two
it's
other
not
guys
just
that
him,
missed
right?
him in the backfield too. Like I thought that was going to be
Right?
a like a 1 yard loss, no gain. I believe it was like 3rd and 4. I might be wrong on that, but I thought it was 3rd and short. And
Yeah,
yeah, he,
yeah. It was
three
third
missed
and three,
tackles up the middle of the field. That you look like you're in position, but when everyone misses the tackle, gets a little easier to just take off and go the rest of the way for 42 yards. So, um, yeah, that was probably the roughest play the defense had of
for
the whole
sure.
game. But overall, pretty solid game from them. But yeah, that was a tough one, and it just made it feel like because I felt like we were so in control of the game up until that point, playing better than Illinois overall, but
Yeah,
Illinois just hitting a little bit more explosive plays than us at that point, and just
yeah.
it felt like we were working so hard to get our points, and Illinois was doing I don't want to say nothing, but really not as well. And then all of a sudden, boom,
Hmm.
they rip off that one. It's just like, oh, and I
Yeah,
know they have great athletes, and so that's what makes Illinois
right.
dangerous. But um,
Yeah,
yeah, I was not feeling good after that play for sure.
yeah. Uh, Following that long run, the Gophers were able to finish with the field goal. Kesich with the 45-yarder. Like you said earlier, Curdy, he was just money. So that was big time. Uh, One of the things that also bugged me with this game was after that field goal, this is towards the end of the quarter. There's literally 19 seconds left. And somehow, some way, we allow them to attempt a field goal. Granted, yes, the field goal is a 55-yarder. Those aren't money in college football, but I'm pretty sure that Illinois' kicker is
Well,
pretty good.
yeah, he is.
Um, and yeah, I just didn't like how we were playing prevent. Yeah, I know you don't want to get anyone in the backside of you, behind you, like we did last year against Illinois, and they ended up winning the game. But I feel like you just trust your defense to not get anything behind them and to stop them from even getting in a potential field goal tying situation there.
Yeah, I'd back it up even further. Like I thought, oh, the Ohio podcast in the comments. Good morning, Ohio podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Yes, it was a
Yeah,
nice win for the Gophers. That one felt good to get Bielema. But yeah, end
nice
of
from the
so
Buckeyes too.
yep, yeah, yeah. I had both those games double screened up on the TV. Trying to follow on both. But then when the Gophers when it got tied again with Illinois, I'm like, okay, I gotta just focus in
Yeah,
here, and I shut off the Ohio State one. I don't know. It worked, I guess. But yeah. So our offensive drive, it's like we got down there with a little bit of tempo, and all of a sudden they're like, "Well, we don't want to leave too much time for Illinois," and it's like that's great. Why not slow down when you're like inside the 20 and not out settling for a 45-yard field goal with a kicker that had been kind of struggling coming into this game? I just
yeah,
didn't understand that logic of it. I get like because you could tell the receivers for Illinois were explosive. Franklin and Pat Bryant, like they were legit threats to score. But yeah, like you have all three timeouts, and all of a sudden you're stopping the clock with what do we stop it with? Like 25 seconds left from like the 30 or something like
yeah,
that. And it was just I don't know. I thought it was I'd rather err on the side of scoring too early, I suppose, and giving them
right.
the ball with more time than
Yeah,
than just halting the offense's momentum to try and slow it down and settling for that long of a field goal. And then to your point, Shuddy, you know, we're basically in prevent, so they just hand the ball off, rip off a quick 15 in like literally like 3 seconds. Quick timeout, and they're now they're moving the ball down to try and tie the game back, and that would have been extremely deflating. I get it. It's like a tough spot to be in because you don't want to get burned super deep, but then also, they were just taking the free 10 yards at a time with, like 18 seconds left. So they got
Right.
into field goal range. But yeah, that was definitely a frustrating way to close out the half. The miss kind of saved us and allowed us to keep a little bit of momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird too because I was at that point, so I wasn't really actually watching it at that point. I was actually listening in the radio or on the radio in the car, um, and hearing PJ talk before halftime or going to halftime that something about like they reset the clock from like 3 to 5 seconds before like that last play, and that changed his whole thing. It was like, how does no one just know that? Like how is like you really? I know like they should tell you if they're going to change the clock, but like not a person on the sideline or in the booth noticed and decided to say
Right.
anything. Like
Well, and the clock was changed, and so if you didn't like your defense for that, like, yeah, to your point, somebody should be watching at that. And so if
right,
something's screwy, you still had 2 timeouts. Just burn one there, talk about it.
right,
Maybe it
yeah,
gets straightened out or whatever. But
yeah. Like if you think that's truly the last play, and then you look up and you're like, well, no, it's not. Like they're gonna get a quick one
yeah,
here and be in field goal range, but. Yeah. No, it was a weird sequence at the end, but I guess I go back to one other thing that, like you said, like it was kind of nice that we did at least go into a little more up-tempo offense to try to help Roseburg into a rhythm, and it worked again. Like we've seen
Yeah.
time and time again that has been effective. So I'm glad they keep going to use that as kind of a change up almost to
yeah,
help that offense get in rhythm.
Hmm.
Just wish they do a little bit more. But
right. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
agreed. It worked though. I think maybe they would have leaned into it more if the run game wasn't working as well as it was.
yeah,
Um, But I don't have the splits in front of me. I felt like Illinois definitely adjusted a little bit to the run game that we had going in the second half. They did a much better job of adjusting to it, but um, we were still able to get a decent push up there. And Darius, man, like it's tough to describe him because like he is really good and he breaks off big runs, but like he's not like a really fast, speedy dude. He's like super strong and also just really shifty. And so I think it's
Right.
just tough to get a good hit on him, and so that's why he's always just tumbling forward. It seems like, but
Yeah.
yeah, he was. I mean, I thought that was maybe like one of his best games that he's
For
had so
sure.
far in his 2 years here.
Hmm.
yeah. He pretty much kind of. I mean, from the run game standpoint, he pretty much just took over. Like he
Yeah,
didn't really need to be spelled too much. I mean, he was getting banged up too, and he was still coming back on the field and
yeah.
still always effective.
And how many times did we like miss a pass on 1st and 10, and then we were able to just hand it off and get back into like a positive yardage
Right.
situation, which is something that we had not been able to do really all season. To
Hmm.
have that, that was great.
Yeah,
Let's see. Hunter says, keeping everything in front of them with the Hail Mary defense we play in 2-minute drills is odd to me versus just playing the D that got us success.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Like if they would have been at least more 2 or 3. I mean, you can still have 3 high, but yeah, like you said, maybe not 50 yards back off the ball with that much time left. But
right.
it is what it is. I mean, yeah,
Had they hit that field goal, I would have been so mad.
me too.
I mean, I was already mad, but it kind of saved it a little bit that they
Yeah,
missed
it
it.
was definitely the wrong defense to be in,
Yeah.
and I'm sure they'll. Well, I'm not sure they'll adjust because that seems to kind of be a PJ thing a
But
little bit. But he's
yeah.
been he's been getting better at stuff like that, and
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on the fake punt here when we get to the second half. I know that's a little ways away.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we're transitioning to here. Second half. Uh, to start the half, um, you know, we go 3-and-out, which is a bummer. But the ensuing drive by Illinois, 5 plays, but Jack Henderson had that nice sack, which ends up with the Gophers getting the ball back. I don't know, not really much to say after those first 2 drives, fellas. Just kind of 3-and-out on the Gophers. Again, the sack that gives us the ball back. That ensuing drive, Gophers end up with the field goal. I'm trying to remember what happened on this one. Oh yeah, Brosmer did take that 7-yard sack during that
Yeah,
drive, which
it was
was
another.
a little brutal.
It was another one where, yeah, we were moving the ball down the field, could convert a couple third downs, and then like overall the third down offense was actually pretty solid. I don't know
Yeah,
what the stats were, but it felt like we converted a decent amount, and a lot of them were like third and long. But yeah, the Brosmer, it's almost like he wasn't used to having as much time as the offensive line gave him. He just kind of got happy feet there and
yeah,
took himself down. And I know he's
hmm
never been like a fast guy. And I think Max, you said this to me when I came over, but he seemed a little like even slower like yesterday than normal. I don't know if he's just a little banged up. We've seen him icing his knee in the past, so um, but oh, like I said, when we needed him in that 4 or 5 minutes left, he came in clutch again, and I mean
yeah,
he's having a terrific year. So don't want to rip on him
right.
too much, but
Yeah, yeah, he didn't really do anything to kill us this game. And coming off last week too, where seemed like he was basically perfect. Like it's gonna be hard to
Yeah,
expect that every week. But yeah, it was just maybe a little bit of a just kind of regression to the mean. But overall,
yeah,
it's not like like you said earlier, Kurt. Like he did have some throws that were a little uncharacteristic and like putting the ball in harm's way, but it just didn't end up biting us. So it's like it's hard to
right,
really fault him for that. Like I still want him to like have the confidence to make those to try to make those throws and not like, get too gun shy when things don't go well. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
last thing on that drive too, like yeah, we didn't move it super far. I mean, 44 yards, but 12 plays. So again, it
hmm
just even if it wasn't resulting in 7 points, I mean that's always the goal, but it still gave your defense a breather and a little bit of a reward for getting off the field and
right.
getting the ball back. So just pretty good complimentary football throughout the game, to be honest. But
yeah.
Yeah,
And another drive that started with another short Illinois punt. I think it was only like a 30-yard punt that we got the
yeah,
ball off of.
yeah. And I correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's the other time that we kind of had Jackson open. I think too, kind of on
yeah.
the post. I think that
In
was
the
kind of the
end zone.
other miss that I felt like we had there. But
Yeah,
oh
left
well.
some points on the board.
Turner
Um,
commented on the fake punt. We'll get there. I think we're coming
oh
up.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, let's see.
Um,
Because what happens next? So we
so the next drive that we get the field goal, Illinois comes out, and
we
this is
forced the
when
punt.
the defense does well. Devin Eastern gets the offside penalty though, so they end up with the first down. We do get them to 3rd and 8. They get called for that holding, so they're pushed back to 3rd and 18 on their 34. This is when Ja Joyner gets the sack, but gets the face
Yeah,
mask on
yeah.
Altmaier at the same time.
It was the first time I noticed him all game. I don't think he had played a
Yeah,
ton of snaps. Obviously, he was banged up from the end of the Maryland game, but we don't have to
yeah,
delve into
yeah,
that poor decision. But that he was
yeah,
still in there at that point. But I mean, it almost cost us. And I thought Anthony Smith was really noticeable as far as
yeah,
guys generating pressure.
for sure.
Strago had another nice game, but it would have just. I mean, I felt like if Job was full go, it would have been really nice to have him out there paired with those guys, obviously. But
Yeah.
they made it work.
Um, yeah, at the end, we did stop him for a punt. And then our ensuing drive was the 9-play fake punt situation. And this is now in the fourth quarter. So let's set up the scene here, fellas. So it's 3rd and 7 on our 49-yard line.
Yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, we get an illegal formation, which really hurts because I think at the end of the day, you know, if you don't get any yardage there and it's 4th and 7, maybe the fake punt works there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Here's
But
Go yeah, go. We came up short. Here's my thing. I had just been asking PJ to like I brought it up, I think maybe last show or 2 shows ago. Like, we never really, when's the last time we've tried like a fake, like just to kind of, throw him off? And he did it. And I don't know. I still didn't, I was in the car at this point, so I haven't seen the actual play itself, but it
Yeah,
looked like he got closer from the sounds of it,
he
that he
was
got pretty
close.
close. And I know close doesn't count, but
Yeah,
I just feel like it's hypocritical of me to criticize after I got something I've been asking for.
yeah,
But at the same time, I said that to Max, and Max brought up like maybe 4th and 12 isn't the time to do that. Not
yeah,
not the not the 31-year-old punter trying to run
right.
outside and run
Yeah.
for it. I didn't I didn't get a chance to hear his answer in the presser. Was that just a called thing, or did Crawford see something and just go
I didn't.
solo on that
Yeah,
decision?
I didn't hear either.
Good.
I
Yeah,
would guess it's got to be planned because it seemed like it was blocked well enough. It wasn't like he
Okay,
just saw an opening, but
yeah. The guy who tackled Crawford, he literally ran from the other side of the line of scrimmage across the field to make the tackle.
so you're telling
So it
me
was
the
a great
punter didn't have
effort
the
by
legs
him. But
to make it work?
Le Captain, there's an initial blocker who missed him, and Le Captain was like the lead blocker, and he was kind of ahead, making sure no one was there. And no one was there, but he didn't really check behind him
If
or
he
on
would
his
have looked back
side.
type of thing, then he could have had
Had
it.
he just even chipped him, slowed him down, I mean, you only need a yard or two to get the first down. Like, boom, you get it, and then we think PJ's a genius, right?
Yeah,
On the flip side. So, like Turner said, he didn't like the fake punt. I agree. I don't like it on 4th and 12, but I'm with you, Kurt. I'm not super mad about it because I kind of like the risk that PJ's been taking, but
yeah,
maybe on the 4th and 7 situation,
sure,
not the 4th and 12.
sure.
yeah. I think the biggest thing for me, decision wise, and whether it's 4th and 12, fourth and like, it was at such a weird time to do it when you're up six, and it's. I mean, if you don't get it,
Yeah,
like they get perfect field position to start the next drive, and I guess in a way you're kind of saying you trust your defense to still like get a stop, but you have an
Yeah,
opportunity to just pin them deep. You're still up a touchdown. You've got back-to-back stops on defense. Like there's a lot of time left too in the game. It wasn't like one of those where it's like, well, if he does get it, we kind of can just run out the clock. Like there was still over
sure.
10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So that's why to me it was kind of a head scratcher. Maybe that's the perfect time to do it when absolutely no one is going to expect it.
Yeah,
Um, and I mean, credit to Crawford too. Like that's a long way to go for a punter. And he was
yeah,
like diving, like it was close. Like he was
yeah,
diving for the first down and made a good effort. But I don't
yeah,
know. It was just a weird one. I can't say I'm too like upset by it because it didn't really end up like completely killing us, but just weird. Like just a weird time to
yeah.
pull it out.
yeah. It See, Hunter says, I do like the fake punt. We were hard on PJ for risk adverse football, poor special teams, and he finally took a big risk. Captain should block that guy as well. Should have worked. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's probably something, right? Like the captain's expecting to have to lead block, like you said, should he? But if he does peek back, a little bit more awareness on it. Yeah, so whether you love it or hate it, it'll probably be the last time you ever see PJ call something like that ever again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just because Illinois went right down the field and scored the touchdown on, I don't know,
Yep.
was it
The
like 25
ensuing
yard pass
drive.
or something like that? But
Yeah, I think Wally goes down,
yes,
right? And then
yeah.
literally the next play, Altmaier hits Sakari Franklin for that 20 yard.
Which our third corner, I believe it's Zaquan Bryan is his name, right? Yeah, he was actually out this game, and so it's like, okay, so we're a little thin at corner, and sure enough, Wally went down to play, and the backup came in, and they targeted him right away, and yeah, that was six. But it is what it is. Like I always felt though like that was inevitable just because of how good those receivers are, and like Luke Altmaier maybe didn't have his best game, but like he makes some throws that are just like wow, like he's got a ton of talent. So
Yeah,
that was obviously disappointing to give up, but I do think overall the defense played pretty dang good.
yeah.
Matt Felton says, "Good morning, Sky U Pod." Good morning, Matt.
Morning, Matt.
Good to see you yesterday.
Um, yeah, and you know what? Yeah, that kind of sucks after the fake punt. They answer right away with a touchdown, but this is Brosmer's best drive here, I think, of the game. We answer right away with another touchdown on our own where, you know, Brosmer hits Daniel Jackson for 37 yards to the Illinois 38 for a first down. Max, you saw this one. I think we were talking about it yesterday, right? he just drops it right in the bucket. I mean, literally right on the sideline. You can't really throw a better pass than that. And I think you said it yesterday, Max. As a defender, you can't even defend that. You just can't. That's how
Right.
perfect the ball was thrown. So hat tip to Brosmer there. That was a great ball and sets you up for a touchdown drive that wins you the game. I don't think, fellas, if you don't score a touchdown on that drive, Illinois probably is waking up today with the victory. That's how important I think this drive was for the Gophers.
Yeah, and for Brosmer to still, like we said, I mean, not his best game, but to still come up in the clutch like that and just have the confidence in himself and in his receivers to make that play is huge. And yeah, whether he's having the worst game of his life, he's still, he's going to have the ball in his hands late, and those are the times we need him to do it, and he's done it. I feel like every game, late in the game, you can always trust him to make those plays, which has been huge.
Yeah, on that deep shot in particular, like just want to shout out Daniel Jackson for not only getting the corner to bite up on him so he could get past him, but he did not show at all that the ball was coming in. He all of a sudden he did like the Randy Moss, where all of a sudden he just threw up
Yeah,
the hand and it was right there.
Yeah.
That was beautifully done, and yeah, like you said, Spencer, because I had only heard it at the time. I did go back and watch that play, but yeah, like he made it look so smooth. He's so smooth with it.
Yeah.
Like, and the announcers were giving him props for that. By the way, Tim Brando, I think he might drink on the job. That's just a theory I have with some of the stuff he would say. Like the one where we sacked Altmaier for like a 1 yard loss,
He
and
thought it was the
and he's
first
like
down.
he scrambles forward and he might have the first down, and it's just like he's 9 yards short of it. Like I don't
Yeah.
know why he like
yeah.
somehow lost track of the field, and then I there was just a couple times where I felt like he did not know what was going on, and
Yeah.
yeah,
I kind of walked away from the TV at this point, and so maybe it wasn't even him that said it, or if they corrected themselves, but kind of like jumping forward too, like when Illinois had the ball at the end, like someone, like one of them said something about like, yep, like now they have a chance to go down and have a game-winning drive. Like
you're
you're down
down
by
8.
8, you can't. Like what? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, there was some interesting thing, and it seemed like
Uh,
that was the first time they'd ever seen any of the Minnesota players' names before. Some of the
yeah.
pronunciations of like key starters is tough. You
yeah.
can't pronounce those ones.
And it's
Yeah.
fine because I think Brando is a lot of fun. Like he gets so excited. It
Yeah.
was just like he was just lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
It felt like, but no.
Yeah.
Just get back to the like game. Like an amazing drive to just answer it. Like because it was pretty quick too, right? I think it was 7 plays, something like that. Like to
Yep.
just
Yeah.
go down. Yeah, 3 minute and 49 seconds. Like just immediately answer was huge because
Right.
that's a huge like taking the life out of them drive because they finally, I mean, that was their first lead all game was after the fake
Hmm.
punt stop, and then you come down and take the lead right back, and like so now they're thinking, okay, now we got to go do it again, and the fake tush push rollout with gears, that was a sweet play, that was a beautiful
That
play.
was such a beautifully drawn up play. Like that's one thing, even though it was just a 1 yard play, but that was awesome.
Yeah,
Like you know the Wildcat formation in the first half that we only settled for three.
didn't love it.
Why not draw something up like that during
Yeah,
that? You know what I mean? Like I don't know. But yeah,
I
it was awesome.
yeah, since you brought it up, thank you. I don't like going shotgun from inside the two without having Brosmer
Yeah.
as the quarterback with a chance to throw it. Like
No.
if that's fine if you want to run it, I get it. You want
Well,
Darius to have a little bit of a head start, but like just have the threat there of the pass at least. But it is what it
I,
is.
we don't have like a Seth Green to like just hammer it in there.
Yeah,
It's too reminiscent of that.
I think every
Um,
game this season there's been a throw that Max made that made me say, "Wow, yeah, Cam's, you're right." That's been his MO. I mean, especially in the clutch. He's just like a 2 minute drill machine at the
yeah.
quarterback. And that's a great asset to have because, even if he was off accuracy wise and didn't really have his feet set all the time, like he still, for the most part, knew where the ball should be going. So like he was seeing the field fine. It was just, the other stuff. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
he's been tremendous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you though, Spence. It would be nice to have a guy like Seth Green again, where you can just have that. I think they call it the green line when he would come out, and they're basically Wildcat, but I mean he still had the threat to pass a little bit, but just
Right.
having a huge bruiser that can come in and just guarantee you 3 yards every time
Yeah.
is nice. Which probably would have helped on our last possession of the game, but still got
Yeah.
points.
Yeah. So I was just going there, like you said, we get that touchdown, and at this point, there's like at the start of their drive, there's like 5 minutes and 15 seconds left, 5 minutes 14 seconds, and uh, yeah, they turn it over on downs. They try four. Obviously, the clock's ticking. They're trying to answer, and defense just holds them, and it was pretty awesome. Yeah, and that
Yeah.
ensuing drive, like you said. Oh yeah, go ahead, Kurt.
Oh, I was just going to say Kerry Brown with the nice pass break up there on fourth down
Yeah.
when they went for it. He had a tremendous game. He's,
Yep.
uh, there's a lot of guys. Strigo, Cody Lindenberg really stood out too.
He did.
Um,
Yeah.
Young guys like Jackson Howard played meaningful snaps too, and he had a nice stop on one of their runs as well, or got in on it at least. So that was nice to see. But I think if I had to pick a player of the game on defense, I'd probably go Kerry Brown this game, just with how many big tackles he had and a few pass
Yeah.
breakups. He was excellent.
Yeah. I did like Lindenberg this game too. He got his hands on a couple of balls, almost picked one, I remember.
Yeah,
We were saying at the beginning of the year, I wanted to see more from him. He's really stepped up, and he's been hitting tackles. He seems to be everywhere, and I'm just happy to see him really be a leader out there. Um, yeah, so then we take over at the Illinois 31. Granted, it's 25-17 at this time, so you do want seven to just put the nail in the coffin.
or
But
even just
three
one
isn't,
more first would have done it too.
or one more
My
first,
my
but
only complaint about
yeah,
how they called that is, and the radio guy said this because I was listening to the game at this point on the road, but I just would have liked to seen Darius have a choice to cut or something rather than just straight up the gut, where it's
yeah,
really not our strength. I know they had played well, but I would have loved to see it, off of Ursery or the
sure.
tackle on the other side with the tight end. That would have been just the call I would have preferred if you're going
Yeah.
to run it. I understand running it because you're making them burn their timeout.
Run behind your future NFL player.
Sure,
Like,
yeah. But it is what it is. That was really my only complaint. I don't blame him not throwing. You maybe do throw it to try and win it if Brosmer's been on a little bit more. And I know he just had that great drive before, but I don't blame him for keeping the ball in Darius's hands there, I guess.
yeah.
So, and Dragon, we made it interesting because I think
Oh,
Ursary actually had the false start on
he
the
did.
field goal attempt, but pushed it back, drilled it. Yeah, and then Illinois had plenty of time. Like the announcer said, time was not going to be a factor. It was going to be downs, and they marched down the field. And Josh Joyner makes his. I think Ryan Burns tweeted out that it was his only play of the drive on that last drive. Like he got in there, strip sack,
Yeah.
and
Redemption from that face mask earlier.
Strago falls on it, and ball game.
Ball
Bielema's
game.
gut is deflated.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was when we had the ball there late. I feel like that was maybe my biggest complaint decision wise, and it worked out. And I'm happy for Dragon that he was able to go 4 for 4 today and hit some long ones. But when you have an opportunity, when you're 2 yards away and deep in Illinois territory, like it's 2 yards to end the football game. Like Illinois didn't have any timeouts left. We could have just gotten it, kneeled it out. It ended up working. And going up 8, like you can't lose the game at that point, which is nice. I mean, it's not like a terrible decision to not do it, but that's just the one where if we're running fake punts on 4th and 12 when we're up 6, I'd
Yeah,
also like us to try to just
sure.
end the game when you have an opportunity to do it, but
Fair
it
enough.
worked out. And like you said, the defense played great there and had a huge stop. And as always, Jaw was just completely getting wrapped up and like tackled as he's trying to make the sack
Mhm.
and still
Yeah,
talking.
and Illinois is upset at the Coy hit going on. So there's a lot of stuff going on at the game. I have to leave you fellas just for some fun construction projects going on in my
Yeah.
house. But feel free to keep going. Fans, feel free to keep chiming in. I was just gonna say I'd give the offense a B minus on the day because they could run. The passing game was just inconsistent a little bit, so maybe that's a little harsh. Maybe B is the more fair grade at now that I think about it. But O line played well. I actually thought receivers played well. Darius was awesome. So Darius is the offensive MVP, probably game MVP. I'd give the defense a B plus. I thought they were really strong. Just a couple plays that you want back, like the 2 touchdown plays where you
Yeah,
probably feel like you could have defended a little better. But
agreed.
I give the defense a B plus, and that I know Illinois wasn't the best at running the ball, but the defense is definitely improving at stopping the run. Max
Hmm.
brought up a play yesterday. We were talking like the Cody Lindenberg, the first quarter, second quarter, just scraping over to the tackle and like beating their polling guy and hitting the running back in the backfield. Like that's just a play that wasn't being made a couple weeks ago. So
Yeah,
to see that progression for this defense gets me really excited. And fun game next week against Rutgers. But Gophers have a lot of momentum right now and should be a good one.
yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, I'll see you guys.
Yep. See you, Kurt.
See ya.
Happy home improvement.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, Max. I don't know. Overall, like Kurt said, I definitely think the Gophers are the better team. They just looked like a better team the whole day. And I don't think that they played their best, even like we were talking about Brosmer. In the fourth quarter, he did well answering, with that touchdown. But he did miss a couple of throws in the first half. Um, but overall, I think it was a great game. Finally beating Illinois. Uh, yeah, I agree with Kurt. Darius Taylor's got to be the MVP today. Um, and yeah, man, I don't know. Anything else? Any other thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with Kurt and you completely. That Darius is definitely the offensive MVP of the game. I really liked Wally's game too defensively. Just feel like he had a lot of key pass breakups, and in Illinois, I mean, their top receivers are really good too. Which we were able to keep him at bay this game. Like that was huge
Yep,
because that's an offense that can make you pay for mistakes, and we just couldn't do it. And yeah, we didn't turn the ball over at all. We forced 2 turnovers. Special teams played good overall.
yep,
Like not I think that's the biggest key is, when we say like we didn't have our best game, it's not so much of a complaint. It's more of like we didn't play our best game and we still won, and we won by, we should have won by more because we left some points on the field.
right.
So it's one of those games that
Yep,
we just haven't seen a lot of yet under PJ, where when things don't all go perfectly, it just doesn't work out. But maybe it's a sign of better things to come, I guess, if we can kind of have
yeah,
a little bit of a clunker, but still come away with a 8 point victory on the road. So
yep. Well, I think that'll do it for us then. Thank you all for listening to another episode of Sky U Pod. Coming up next this week for the preview, like I mentioned, we got Rutgers on the road. It's going to be a nice reunion between PJ Fleck and oh yeah, before we close out, Sky U Pod parlay of the week was a massive failure. Again, I think this is my third or fourth miss, Max. I'm just offbeat. Kurt nailed it. He's been on
yeah.
fire, carrying all you guys that waste your money on us, I guess. Max, I gotta say, your Navy pick I thought was money. I think that delay really just kind of messed things up.
Yeah, getting the start of the game delayed like 6 hours was, I mean, at that point, it was like, well, they're on the road. It's dead. Like,
Ugh,
there's no way they're just gonna
yeah,
like come out firing, and then they just lost by more than 11 too, which is crazy. But
yeah,
yeah,
I
no, it was a
know.
tough one yesterday. But yeah, like you said, Kurt taking the over in Wisconsin, Iowa was ended up. I mean, I was putting up
Yeah,
points, which is scary, but
yeah, right. They really come together by the end of the year, it seems like, which is when we usually face them
right,
and lose. But
yeah,
yeah, they look like a good team.
yeah. We'll look at the numbers. We'll get back to the lab.
Yeah,
We'll put something better together next week. So stay tuned for that. Don't give
yeah,
up on
right.
us yet.
Yeah. There's still a lot of games left. We'll make you all some money. Um, but yeah, at Rutgers next week, 11 a.m. kickoff on NBC. Should be a good one. Again, reunion between PJ Fleck and Ethan Kaliakmanis. I think it's gonna be interesting because I think he'll be fired up. Ethan, PJ, I feel like you got to have a little fire under your belly to prove like I made the right decision making this quarterback change. But we'll talk about that this upcoming week. Um, But as always, thanks for listening to Sky U Pod. Be sure to check out our partner's website, thecollegehuddle.com, where you can get all things college football, podcasts, articles, you name it. Be sure to like and subscribe to the videos too. It helps us out a lot. We just love chatting about football. Leave comments below, get involved in our conversations, and we love you guys. We'll see you next week.